balance, you don't have a balanced universe, the thing will fly apart, quite literally. That's what makes nuclear bombs. They just unbalance it just slightly and then kaboom. So the universe is always trying to keep itself balanced, and that is a very good thing if you can work with that idea instead of against it. Which brings us to the topic of this video. You've probably noticed that there's no visual anymore. It's because I deleted it. I recorded a very nice video with this video editing program called Wondershare Filmora. And I found it on the internet and chose to use it because it said it was free and that you could try it for free. And so I spent several hours making a really nice video. And I had to order subscriptions and join subscriptions and you know, click I agree about 19 times to get access to the thing, and then I got my video recorded, and you know, it takes some effort to get that done. And then I thought, okay, it's perfect now. I'll export this video and put it onto YouTube, and then it said, another window popped up and it said, would you like to have this Wondershare Filmora banner watermark across the bottom of your video? You can probably see it on the bottom of this one. Then you can use it for free if you can have this thing smeared across the bottom of your video, or if you send us some money, we'll take it off. And I'm well into my retirement years now, and I'm really quite comfortable, and so it's not about the money, but it was a dirty rotten trick. And the beginning of this video, I left it on there on purpose because it's about the balance, and it reminded me of a story when I was much younger, in very early grade school. I'm not exactly sure, maybe it was grade 2 or grade 3, and we called it the fair came to town. And once a year there's a midway comes to town, you know, with the Ferris wheel and the various rides that kids can ride on, and there's little booths and tents and so on all set up. It's quite an anticipated event by young people in town, and I think a circus came around at the same time, the Shrine Circus. But anyway, so after much nagging, my siblings and I convinced my father he should take us to the fair, and so off we went, and we arrived there, and my father dutifully gave each child their $5, which was considerable money. We could probably go on, you know, the rides were probably $1 or 75 cents or what have you, and so there's your $5, spend it wisely. And my father was quite miserly, so that was quite something for him to do that, because he didn't just have 2 kids, we had a big family. But everybody got their $5, and somehow in those days it just set us loose. Nobody with us, just, I think we were in groups, but to start with, but that ended quickly. Anyway, I found this little booth where you could throw I think it was something like a tennis ball or maybe a little baseball, and you had to throw it about, I don't know, 8 or 10 feet out in front of you into these apple picking baskets, and if you got the ball to stay in the basket, you could get a prize. And it's not about that, that's not the lesson I learned. What the prize was, I don't even remember. Probably something a little boy would like. But there was this very kind lady, or seemingly kind, saw me there, and I was very interested, and there wasn't a lot of people interested in her little stand there, so she beckoned me over, and I went over, and she chatted me up a little bit, and why don't you try it? And how much does it cost? And it was, I think, I don't remember the numbers, but it was cheap enough. And so I thought, okay, well, I can buy 2 baseballs, and I'll try twice. And so I gave her my $5, and she handed me a couple of balls, and I threw the first one, and it hit right in the middle, which is quite springy, and the ball bounced out, and she was, oh, so close. And then I threw the ball again and missed the basket entirely. I think I was a little rattled from the first one. And then she's like, oh, that's too bad. Here, try another one. And so then I'm like, really? Oh, yeah. And so she hands me another ball, and I tried it, and, oh, you just about had it. Try another one. And she carried on like this until I'd thrown 10 balls at 50 cents a piece. And then she said, oh, you didn't make it. So then I stood there, and for a minute I said, what's the matter? And I'm waiting for my change. And she goes, oh, sweetie, in the kindest voice, she's, oh, sweetie, you threw 10 balls. So she kept my $5. Well, apparently my father had one eye on me somehow from somewhere, and I was just devastated. And so I walked around behind the little tent thing that she was on, and I was just crying as whatever, it was a grade 1 or 2 or 3 or something. And my father came over, what's the matter? And I told her what had happened, and so he was pretty pissed off with her, actually. And so he came up with another $5 out of his pocket, and he brought me out to the woman, and he goes, here, you keep the $5. Here's another $5. You just give it back to the little boy, because I don't want him to think that that's the way the world is. And she was like, no, I'm not doing that. And the lesson I learned that night was, you can imagine, like, not everything is as it should be, but there should be balance. You have to be upfront, and that's a good way to run a business. And she certainly wasn't. She ripped off a little kid, and that's the way it just came straight back to me when I got all the way through making this video, and here they're like, oh, and now you got to pay the money. And I was like, wow, here I am, some 60 some odd years later, I get to learn that lesson one more time from Wondershare Filmora. And it reminded me of another saying my father used to say much later in life, when I was in my teens. He'd say, well, when you didn't learn something right away, or you got a lesson for a second time, he goes, well, some blocks of wood take more than one hit to split. And so I'm going to release this video. There won't be much on it, and Wondershare Filmora will get their banner across the front of my video, but they won't get a whole lot of my video. If you'd like to watch my video, I've discovered another free and much better video editing platform. It's called DaVinci Resolve. It's a much more advanced program, and their color rendering is absolutely outstanding. It is quite a bit more technical, and there's quite a bit of black smoke happening. I'm going through a very serious learning curve, so I hope you enjoy it. I will be remaking this video on DaVinci Resolve, and it's called Nature's Balance, if you'd like to see that whole video. And wherever you are, have a happy day, and we'll see you next time on cows and stuff, but mostly cows.